The ranch is at the Americana Fest 2023. Now, let's check in with Shayne Hollinger.
We are sitting with Dallas Burrow here at Americana Fest. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Shayne. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Thank you, first of all, for coming and chatting with us.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me, yeah.
It's been a busy week for you.
So far, yeah. We just, been making the rounds. We were at Robert's Western World earlier today, which is an awesome place. I've always wanted to play there, so it was exciting.
And it finally happened. What was it like?
Oh, I mean, it was awesome. The crowd was great, and the band was hot, so it was a good time.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it was.
New Braunfels guy.
Born and raised, man, yeah.
You live in an amazing place, and it's become like the haven for a lot of great singer-songwriters, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there's always been a rich songwriting scene there, you know?
Right.
I mean, with Green Hall and everything, you know? I mean, I grew up listening to some of the greats play there, so but it's definitely become a mecca, I think, as time goes on. We have great artists coming that down to that area all the time, so it's pretty cool.
You have one of the most interesting stories, and I heard you're okay with telling this story.
Oh yeah, sure.
You have an album called Blood Brothers.
That's right.
And there is a incredible story behind that. I'd like you to share that.
Yes, sir. Well, so my dad is a songwriter, and he was never a professional songwriter by any means, but he's always been kind of a poet and a songwriter, and I think probably a lot of where that comes from is, so the story goes like this. Back in the 60s and 70s, the late 60s, early 70s, my dad and his siblings ran a bar here in Nashville, over on Elston Place, across from the old Exit Inn.
Yeah.
And back in those days, Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt and Rodney Crowell and all the great Texas songwriters of the day would come and hang at the bar.
Right.
Well, so my dad became friends with some of those guys, and one night, Townes and Richard Dobson and John Lomax III, who were all kind of legendary cats back in those days, and my dad, the four of these guys are all sitting around, and they're having a few drinks, having a good time, and the bar closes, and they go to an after party, and some point in the night, Townes gets the idea that they need to get a knife out and cut their arms and become blood brothers, and so that's what they did, man, and so I grew up with these stories. My dad will show me the scar and tell me that story sometimes, and it's just been a big influence on me as far as my songwriting goes, and just having that kind of legendary figure of Townes in my mind, throughout my life is made a big impact on me, and
So literally, Townes Van Zandt runs through your veins. How wild is that to think?
I mean, it's a pretty interesting.
It's a lot of pressure on you, Dallas.
Well, I mean, hey man, I feel like in some ways. Maybe some of those legendary cats like Townes and Guy, that style of songwriting is kind of a lost art. So
it is. It really is.
So I hope to be kind of a torchbearer for that sort of thing. Yes, sir.
And that's what you're doing, man.
That's
really
it, man. That's what it's all about.
Jonathan Tyler produced your album.
He did, man.
That is one of the coolest people on the planet.
He's a seriously cool cat.
He really is.
No, super hip dude, man, and what a talented guy too, man. I mean, it was a lot of fun to get to work with him. I always admire his projects growing up, the Northern Lights and all that stuff.
The Northern Lights were cool.
Oh, dude.
God.
And I think they're coming back.
That's what I keep hearing.
I mean, it looks like so. But no, man, just getting to, run all my stuff by him and have him kind of help me bring my songs to life and breathe that, that artistry that he has into what I do was a really cool thing.
You can tell by your songwriting that you were raised listening to some really good music.
The good stuff for sure. I mean, everything from Townes and Guy to the more modern guys like Robert O'Keefe and Charlie Robinson, stuff like that, man. So I mean, it's all in there for sure.
Charlie Crockett, I'm going to read this quote.
Yes, sir.
You are one of the finest songwriters to come out of Texas in this generation.
Well, there you go.
That's from Charlie Crockett.
Well, he's an old friend of mine, man.
How much did you have to pay him to say that?
Well, he used to crash on my couch, so
so he owed you. So was that like the 5th or 6th draft? No, that's not going to work. I need something better. That's what a compliment, man.
Well, man, I love Charlie, man. He's incredible artist and just such a hardworking cat. But yeah, no, he and I have known each other probably 10 years. We met up in Northern California when we were both young travelers back in the day. And we've written a bunch of songs together, and had the opportunity to go out and tour with him some, opening up for him and stuff. And he's a good friend to have, man.
So you did a little busking in your day?
Oh, sure, man. I mean, I played on the street some. I mean, from New Orleans to Vegas and out in Venice Beach, and so yeah, I mean, I played on the streets a little bit back in the day for sure.
That is wild. How many of you artists have done that?
Well, I think it's when you're young and trying to figure it out, it's an obvious thing to to do, to just try to make a few bucks and try to figure out what works and stuff. I mean, it's certainly not glamorous, but I think it's a good education.
It's got to be the hardest thing because you don't have a captive audience. They didn't come there to see you play.
You got to get their attention.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, how do you do that?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, you look at like you're saying, the folks that have done that, like Sierra Farrell and Charlie, and I mean, it makes you a better performer.
Yeah, absolutely. You get on that stage and you own that stage.
Right.
Because you've honed that craft for years.
Exactly.
And the hardest place to do that.
That's it, man.
A place where people just want you to shut up.
Right.
So I've been asking everybody this question, Dallas. What is Americana music to you? It's a different answer for everybody. To you, what does Americana mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because in the past decade or so, since that term has kind of gained prominence, I mean, I wasn't sure what to make of it in the beginning, but I think as time has gone on, what it feels like to me is just American roots music.
Okay.
I mean, so it's a little bit of everything. And I mean, and this is how, when people ask me what kind of music I play, I kind of answer the same way. I mean, it's country and blues and gospel and folk, and it's all the American roots music just kind of under one umbrella. So I mean, I think that's,
I think it's a great way to describe it, and it's the most difficult answer for anybody, and I think that's what makes the Americana scene so interesting.
It is, man.
Because it could be anything,
right?
And we allow it to be anything,
right?
That's fantastic.
I mean, look, I was looking at the charts last week. You got Willie Nelson and Zach Bryan right there on the charts next to all these other kind of like up and coming independent artists, and so it's pretty wide open.
It really is. So what's the next goal for Dallas Burrow? What's your next?
Oh man, I just want to keep playing bigger stages and reaching larger audiences and connecting with people, and just keep making good music and keep traveling and playing and touring and earn my stripes and develop a following and just keep building my career, man.
Keep hustling.
That's it.
Keep hustling. New album's called Blood Brothers. It's absolutely fantastic. Dallas Burrow, man, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of your Americana Fest.
I will, brother.
We will see you out there somewhere on a stage.
All right, Shayne, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.